workshop for the Mental Health Wellness Weekend run by Sister Fia, and my workshop was called The Revolution of Home. Oh man, so I really love Nia Sheree because it was her first time, or she just got to Chicago like a couple months ago, and so it's a new city for her. She's from Jamaica. The thing that I really got from her is that she gives a lot to those who see her as being in Chicago, and they like depend on her or like seek things from her, whether it be emotional support, material support, what have you. And she's very like kind of reserved and like calm. But what I could sense while we were doing the activity is that she was able to like pull out a lot of the things that are difficult in her workspace. And then something that we talked about, that even those things that we as Black women do to help those in our families and help those in society is like, we love to do it, but it still takes energy. So at the end, the last activity is like, how do we give that energy back to ourselves? Really important piece of why I wanted to do this workshop, because I felt like a lot of work I was doing was very like externalized of like problems and structures, and I started to realize that I wanted to internalize the solutions in the world I want to create. If I'm not creating within myself, within my family, within my children I have at home, then I feel like I'm doing a discredit not only to the integrity of the work that I say I'm about, but also my ability to do that work effectively, so other people can have an opportunity to have that type of life. Oh, no. We are not about to do this. We are not about to do Girl, I was triggered.
Who do I talk to about race and why? Who do I not talk to about race and why? If I woke up tomorrow as a Black person, what would I feel? And then I kind of teach on like, based on your answer, because it's always like, oh, I would feel scared, I would feel blah, 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 I feel blah, blah, blah. And then I'd be like, okay, you're not any exceptional type of white person. Every single white person would answer the same way. So you all know what it's like to be Black in America, yet you still walk around as if this isn't the truth. And so kind of like bringing to the forefront what they already know, even though they pretend like they don't know.
So there's this video of Kalief Browder's mother, the fact that she passed away after Kalief committed suicide after the whole crazy situation with the carceral system.
Today, we sadly report that Friday, Kalief's mother, Vanita, tragically lost her own. On October 14th, Vanita Browder suffered a heart attack and died from complications later that day. She was only 63, and though she had heart problems before, her lawyer, Paul Prestia, told the Huffington Post that he believes she died of a broken heart. Her son Kalief was 16 when he was arrested over a stolen backpack. He had to wait for trial in jail for 3 years because his family wasn't able to pay for bail. While he was in Rikers Island, he suffered mental and physical abuse from both inmates and guards. When he was finally released, he couldn't find his way to fit back into society. Last year, he hung himself in her Bronx home.
You'll facilitate a conversation around what their questions were and how it relates to the video. I'll introduce my questions from my old thing. The video, the Kalief video, and us talking about all the modern manner. Like, is slavery still here? How's it showing up? And you can teach on those things.
My name is Johnny Strong. It's nice to meet many of you. A lot of the work that I do is direct action organizing. So I co-found an organization called BYP 100, which is based here in Chicago, but it's actually national. We have 8 chapters throughout the country. And so the work that we do is basically for young Black folks who are between 18 and 35, and we engage all the social issues, but we do it through holding people accountable through direct action and protest. So I've been doing that for the past 6 years, in addition to being an educator and a mother to 2 beautiful children here. And so this is exciting for me. It's my first time actually taking the work that I do and putting it in the format of speaking about it, and as opposed to just only being in the action of doing it. And so what I hope from this workshop and the things that come out of it is that there can become some type of practice around the work that I do, the folks that I engage with, and that you can take from my experience very concrete, tangible ways to move forward your work in engaging in anti-racism.
Every city that I go in, usually in a room full of people, only about 2, maybe 3, most likely 0 people ever say they're showing up for Black bodies. They're showing up for Black lives. They're showing up because they saw a Black body die. Anti-racism work centers around protecting Black bodies. So if you're showing up in this space to walk out of here
with a gold star or a sticker or a cookie, I have nothing to offer you.
Sometimes when I try to have these conversations with other white people, there's this idea of, well, there's black on black crime. Well, they're doing it to themselves, so what's the problem with us doing it?
Yes.
But right, especially in America, we never talk about why is there such a lack of dignity with black people, or why don't black people value their own lives, and that's the conversation we want to have. And so I just thought that it was interesting that even in that dynamic, to save yourself, you're still being pitted against your own people.
Take a moment and think about, who are your ancestors? So I want that to ground us. Oftentimes when we engage in anti-racism work, there's a question of, well, how do I fit into this? And how does who I am as an individual fit into this? But we have to understand that racism is a structure, is a system, and that system is fueled by a historical legacy. So when we say where we come from, it helps us ground ourselves on why it's not just a personal attack against you, it's positioning yourself within your where you stand in the legacy of what now is happening contemporarily. There's two things here. So the first one is nationwide, and this one is the money bill in all 50 states, right? And so folks have a component of that where in the interim, there's like a harm reduction phase, and then there's an overall systemic plan. The systemic long-term goal is to end money bill, to pass the laws to end it, right? But in the short term, the harm reduction piece is there is like hundreds and thousands of people who are being detained while we're trying to get that passed. So in the interim, we ask for folks to make contributions to those bonds that cannot be paid by those folks who are there. And I just wanted to lift up what you're saying about black on black violence and all that. I always talk about that, and the reason I bring up Miriam is because she says that interpersonal violence stems from systemic violence. It's not that they're on the same plane, and that one comes first, right? And then when we talk about violence in America, we have to figure out where do the communities now, like black communities, where do we learn violence from, right? If we're not the first folks to be in this country, we're not the first ones to have it and create the culture of this space, then where do we learn it from, right? That's why I think that was a really important piece to know. Like, even though you want to do a lot of things and you have a lot of capacity and ability to give a lot of things, we also have to figure out like what our solitude is like, and how we get ourselves back energized.